Alexandra Bice, his first goal of the tournament, and USA still short-handed. Oh, what a play! And what a goal from Drew Shore! A short-handed USA scoring and getting back into the lead. What a beauty from Drew Shore!
Welcome to Moneyball. A couple of sponsors here. We got Howie's Hockey Tape behind my right shoulder, one of the best in the business, and Bella Pizza. My guest today is Drew Shore, 2009, drafted by the Panthers. And I was looking for adjectives to describe your career, right? And I respect the heck out of anyone who played hockey and has had the grind and has had the absolute passion that you've had throughout your career. Here's what I came up with. Arcane. Pretty good, right? Pretty big one.
Yeah.
Pretty big one.
Yeah.
I said, what is a complementary mystery? Was the best way I wanted to describe your career, because a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal player that obviously a ton of success, you know, AHL, overseas, US teams. I mean, the list goes on and on, man. You're a stud, but never really found a true home, or that's fair to say, in the NHL.
It's completely fair. And it's something that honestly I struggled with a lot when I retired. I definitely did not have the career that I imagined I would have. I definitely underachieved at different points in my career for myself personally and just teams I played on. I definitely had some good stints. I mean, like I went into Pittsburgh one time when like Crosby and Malkin were at the peak of their career, scored 2 goals. We won when like they were really good. So, I mean, I definitely had the talent level. I just made a lot of mistakes along the way and was never really able to put it together. But I think I've kind of, a lot of those mistakes that I've made have now allowed me to have a ton of success in the business world and post-retirement. So it's something I definitely struggled with, but now I think it's definitely fueled a lot of the success that I'm having now.
Listen, man, that's extremely well said. And I'm a person who doesn't believe much in coincidences. I think, you know, whether you believe in God or whatever higher power, you're put places, you know, people meet, you're put different places. So I love what you said. You owned it. And you said one of the key things I just heard you say was some mistakes I made, right? You didn't blame anyone. And that's courageous to not even say that, because what I was going to say in your defense was I've spoken to so many athletes, so many different systems, right? Sometimes, man, it's just not a good fit. And there's been so many guys I've spoken to that get drafted by a team and there's no room for them. Or they, you know, they're a left winger, they want them to play right. Or say it's a baseball and that they're a second base, they want them to play third, right? There's all these different scenarios. Was that ever the case with anything, you think, with systems?
Oh, I think there was a ton of it. I mean, right? Like, it's the toughest league in the world to play in. And unless you are a top 2 defenseman or top 3 forward on every team who's so much better than everyone else. I mean, I think if you look at the league now, there's at least probably 6 forwards and 2 or 3 D-men that are pretty replaceable with other guys in the league, the top players in the AHL. So, I mean, to have a long career, you need a lot of things to go right. Kind of when I was playing my best, in Florida, I tore a tendon in my wrist and had wrist surgery, and then definitely like started the next year really slow. And so, I mean, there's definitely some things that you need to go right. And I definitely had a lot of those things go wrong at different points. But with that being said, I battled with a ton of coaches. I was very, very stubborn. There was a lot of things that I personally did to not help my situation. And I think that, I mean, it's easy to blame others when things don't go well, but I mean, I think a lot of my journey comes down to how I handled it. And like I said, I made a ton of mistakes.
Dude, I love the self-reflection and the fact that you can say that. That's just so rare in an athlete and someone of your caliber. I think, did you, maybe when you first got drafted, right? A very high second round draft pick, 44th overall, that ego was there maybe, right? A little bit more. I mean, how old were you when you got drafted?
So I was 18 when I got drafted.
That's so young, right? Like,
yeah. The ego was there. And then I think one of the other biggest takeaways is like, I started struggling a little bit in Florida, but still had a good situation there, and then kept asking to be traded. Finally got traded to Calgary, which was just a disaster.
Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, careful what you wish for. And then I think the other thing is like, you always think the grass is greener, and that's not necessarily true either. So a lot of times when I deal with players on things now, I kind of relay a lot of the messages and mistakes that I made to them. And I think I've actually helped a lot of guys maybe avoid some of the things that I did.
And that's a great segue into, you know, your new career, being an agent. I think that's such an unbelievable background to have, everything you've said thus far, where you can literally say to these kids or whoever it is that you're going to represent, listen, man, this is what I did. Don't go do it, right? Like, grass isn't always greener. You know, when you're at this elite level of NHL, MLB, NFL, it's the best of the best. And just hearing this, man, roll off your tongue is literally like music to my ears. It's a humbleness mixed in with a little bit of, hey, this is reality.
Yeah, and I think like one of the biggest like blessings and curses kind of at the same time was like as a player, like my hockey IQ was in the top 1% of the 1%. But like rather than using that to like on the ice was one thing, but I battled with so many coaches over it. You know what I mean? And there's so many times too, I wish I just would have shut up. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I actually speak a lot on this now. It's like, no matter how dumb you think your boss is or how dumb you think your coach is, like going in and telling that every day is just going to hurt you. So it's like, I don't care how stupid your coach actually is. Like, make that coach like you. You know what I mean? Now you don't necessarily have to agree with anything he does, but like find a way to make the coach like you, regardless of your opinion of him. And that's something that I really didn't do very well.
Probably the best advice you can give a young athlete right there, because listen, somebody likes him, right? If he's sitting in that chair, he could be somebody's kid. Yeah. Somebody likes him. So somebody
there. Likes him. And then like what we talked about is like the coach, even in the lineup or the game, has like whatever sport we're talking about, but like say they have 5 guys that are going to play no matter what, but then they have 10 50-50 decisions. If you're the guy going in there telling them how dumb they are every day, I think that so yeah, it's like a fine line, right? Like I never wish I would have been like a huge kiss ass, but I definitely wish there were times I just would have kind of shut up and nodded my head and bit my tongue.
I get it. It's funny, man. And, you know, it's in an analogy. Last night, you know, I coached one of my son's travel teams for baseball, and we had a count, you know, and I said to the pitcher when he got off, I said, listen, here's what you do in that count. You just throw a strike, let your defense do the work. And the kid looked at me dead in the eye and he goes, no, I don't. That's not what I do. And I said, okay, you know, I've been coaching for a little while, 6 years old. And he goes, no, that's not what I do. That's not what you do. And like, he's young, so you hope he's not uncoachable. I'm going to call it the Drew Shore syndrome.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things now, right? Like now, that's what I would tell the kid. It's like whether he agrees with what you said on the pitch count or not, like just say yes, okay, coach. You know what I mean? And now, like, why battle with you? Like, what does he think battling with you, like his expected outcome is going to be from that? Yeah, it's like I said, a ton of things I would have done differently.
I've reviewed the career, and you were overseas, man. You've had tremendous success.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you retire and do a lot of reflecting, like I grew up as a Colorado kid, and I remember like thinking if I could play one game at the University of Denver, like, you know what I mean? That would be the coolest thing in the world for me. Yep. And then you retire at 30, and I did play in the NHL. I did score goals in the NHL. Like, so I did accomplish all those things, but I definitely... you kind of just keep pushing the goalpost farther and farther back, because I felt like my career, to be honest, was a complete failure. And then it's kind of hard because you go back and forth because you kind of see the little kid in you who would have like, I mean, I would have cut off my pinky to score or play a one NHL game when I was 10 years old, growing up shooting pucks in my backyard. So yeah, it's interesting.
Dude, I love that. And you said, you know, and you scored a couple of goals with Crosby and Malkin at their peak, right? Now think about when you were a kid playing street hockey with your buddies, saying, I'm going to be playing with the top line on the Pittsburgh Penguins and scoring goals. Like, right? Like, it's like a dream.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I don't think, like, if I would have told people I was going to be doing that, no one would have believed me, right? Especially growing up in Colorado. So, yeah, it's interesting.
But you're a cool dude in the fact that you're a very well-known name in the hockey community. You know, I see you everywhere. You'll be on this interview, you know, you're doing your own thing with management, your own podcast and stuff like that. And there is those guys, you know, the enigmatic, like, regardless of career, are just people like you. You know, you're a likable dude. You kind of tell it how it is. And I see you all over the place. And like somebody, you're like Drew Shore. Oh yeah, I know Drew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting too. And so one of the best things about my childhood is I had 3 brothers. 3 of the 4 of us were drafted in the NHL. All 4 of us played pro at some level. But then if you even look at like my brother Nick, which people laugh when I say this, but he's my best friend, he would say here too. So he played way more games than I did in the NHL, had a way better career than I did in the NHL, but I was way more talented than my brother was. Yeah. But he was a guy who did whatever the coach said, never talked back to the coach, and also was just like the ultimate teammate. When LA had some of the best players in the world, they loved hanging around my brother. So if it was a question of who they wanted on the roster to be the 4th line guy, my brother was a guy that people just loved to be around. So I think that that's another point in all this too, is like, you always hear like when you're a little, like, be a good teammate, and like everyone hears that and you kind of like shake your head and you're like, okay. But I don't think people realize that like being a good teammate can literally like have a drastically different impact on your career and like the money that you make and how long you play. And that's no different in business either. Like, be a guy that other people want to be around. And I think that that's something that like we talked about. I mean, I'm sure you talk about being a good teammate with your baseball kids, and they probably sit there and kind of roll their eyes and they're like, okay, coach.
Course,
I mean,
of course.
that's what I did. But then
Yep.
it's like, you look at like my brother's career, and my brother was able to make a ton of money, have a ton of success, and play a long time as a guy who was way less skilled than someone like myself because he had those intangibles.
Hammer, nail, dude, you're striking it, because you are absolutely spot on with everything you're saying. We won't drag it out, man, but you're absolutely spot on. And this is a lot of stuff, you know, that when I have a lot of kids do watch this show, right? Because I want to make sure that kids are watching this show at levels of 8 years old to, you know, 70. But as far as kids, you know, in their teens, I really want them watching this to learn. And so guys like you, man, and you're wise above your years here. I mean, you really, like, it's incredible to hear this stuff.
That's what you get from making 10,000 mistakes in an 11-year career. Yeah.
And you know what? And you can laugh about it now. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
My son's favorite team is the Carolina Hurricanes. I saw you had a brief stint with the Carolina Hurricanes. I was there last week at a game, and
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that building gets rocking. Like, people don't realize, like, they're kind of like, those fans down there, like, they'll treat a 7 p.m. playoff game like a NASCAR race where, like, they're tailgating at 1 o'clock. And
yes,
we had a decent playoff stint when I was there, and I didn't realize like how loud, like that, like if you say like that's one of the loudest buildings in the league, people would laugh at you.
They would laugh. Yep.
You go down there for a game and the place gets rocking. Yeah, it's a cool spot. Rob Brendamore was one of the best people I'd met in hockey. I was there, kind of played a couple of games, but kind of witnessed him for a year. I mean, I think like his career from retirement to then stepping into coaching was obviously very quick. And I mean, we were getting healthy scratch. So I wasn't playing much, and we'd be doing like our post bag skate workout. And I mean, he'd be in there for 2 hours with a weight vest on. He's like,
I was just going to say,
one of the hardest working guys ever. So it's like, you see him do that, and he definitely has his instant respect from all the players.
He's all business.
Yeah, they do some, I can't remember what it is, but there's some crazy bike test we did during fitness testing, which like normally guys get mad about, but he does the bike test every year. So it's like when the head coach is doing the bike test, he's not like some fat old coach who's like kind of just like making your life miserable. Like, he's doing it too. So you're like, all right, fine. I can rally behind this.
Yeah, man, he takes a lot of pride in it for sure.
I know we got to get the Sabres playing well again and back into the playoffs, because they're such like an iconic franchise that, they just get overtaken by the Maple Leafs fans right now.
Yeah, right now. We are absolutely right about that. Let's talk some playoff hockey. Who do you like? What do you see that maybe some other people don't see as far as, you know, some grittiness or some grind in some teams? Like, what do you think right now about these series and the playoffs?
Well, the playoffs have just been absolutely amazing so far. I mean, from an entertainment standpoint, I think every game has like all the series are so close. I mean, we have LA playing Edmonton for the 4th year in a row. But I mean, that game 1 was crazy. I mean, there's just I mean, I feel like literally every series, I mean, I think New Jersey looks a little undermatched versus Carolina. And I would say Ottawa does the same thing against.
Yeah,
I feel like the West is a little tighter. Like, I think Washington beats Montreal. I think the Leafs beat Ottawa. The Florida series could go anyway. I mean, even though Florida looked fantastic last night, but I mean, on the West, it's just like, it's kind of like crazy to believe like the Dallas Stars have an amazing regular season and then have the pleasure of drawing the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. And by the way, I'm going to the game today because I represent one of the D-man on Dallas. But I guess the rumor in Denver is Landeskog's making his debut tonight. So literally, as a hockey fan, I think that they're going to have a harder time finding a more electric building than Ball Arena will be tonight with him coming back after not playing in 3 years.
Yeah, man. And are they kind of keeping it under wraps? So it's like,
well, he took warm-ups last game and the NHL messed up their scratch sheet. Like, they had released it like whatever. So they had him playing and he warmed up. So that had people kind of losing their mind. But I think it's like 95% confirmed that he's in tonight, which, like I said, is just like, he's one of the most beloved people in the Denver sports community. So it should be an amazing game.
Yeah, man, him and McCarr back there, like that team is so disgustingly talented. I think Dallas, there's a hatred in Buffalo, obviously, you know, the no goal situation, right? We're never going to forget that situation. And Brett Hall, there's still dartboards with his face on them and stuff, man. But they're fun to watch, though. Honestly, like they're a good team. They're a gritty team. They have a ton of offensive spark. Like, they're fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that when Jake Ottinger plays well, he's the best goalie in the series. So I think that, I mean, if you're the Colorado Avalanche, like the way these NHL teams go, if you can go steal one of the first 2 games at home and take back home ice, like that's your goal. So I think that, I mean, if you're looking like the Avs, you're like, okay, we went down there and did what we had to do. But I mean, Ottinger plays really well. And in the past couple of years, he's been able to completely take over and dominate series.
Let me ask you this as someone who's played all over the place, overseas, again, like for a few different NHL franchises. How important is home ice advantage? Now, from a player perspective, and I'm going to ask you this honestly, because it's a two-part question. I feel like it used to be a lot bigger. Is it still a huge factor? And when you're out there as a player out on the ice, is it that impactful?
It is for several reasons. And I actually think it's more impactful now than ever, but this might surprise you.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the crowd noise.
Okay.
But it has something to do with this. I'm Drew Shore. I'm a fourth line player. I play for the Dallas Stars. I get put out against on the ice tonight. Colorado automatically sends McKinnon, Natchez, Makar over the boards.
Okay.
So I think I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think the discrepancy in skill and talent level is greater than it's ever been within the NHL. Between lines. I want to say this might be a weird thing to say, but on really simple layman's terms, when Crosby at his peak, he was 10% better than the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever. Now I feel like these guys the McKinnons, the Makars, the McDavids, I feel like that number would be, I'm just making these numbers up too. I feel like they're 25 or 30% better than your average NHL player. So the change at home is such a big deal in the playoffs, especially as these games go deep and guys get tired. And I mean, it's just such a significant thing, right? If you're Jamie Benn in the first line of the Dallas Stars, are you getting matched up against the Avs third and fourth line players, or are you getting matched up against the McKinnons, the Makars of the whole night? So I actually think the home ice is more important than ever, but it has nothing to do with kind of the rink or the atmosphere or the crowd noise. I think it's all comes down to the change and who's on the ice.
You're talking the strategy of the game itself.
Yeah, the strategy of the game, and a lot of it's line matchups and combinations. Because
Such a great point. I would never think of that, and it's so smart. Absolutely.
And it's at home, it's really hard for Dallas to put their fourth line out tonight. Because it's as soon as that happens, Bednar's sending over the McKinnons, the Makars, whatever. And so as a result of that, then their top guys are going to get more tired, because it's say their fourth line, I would say Dallas, I'm just making these numbers up, by the way. If Dallas's fourth line can crunch 12 minutes at home, they might be able to crunch 6 minutes on the road just because of this change.
You know how I look at it? From a different sport perspective, once those guys come over the boards, Dallas goes into a prevent defense, to put it in a football term. Think about that, right? These guys are so talented and so good. You go into a prevent, it's please just don't score on us. So I know what you're saying. You're taking away that offensive prowess, because it's just, hey, what can we do to make sure these guys don't score? Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I played on a lot of fourth lines, and it's once you see some of those elite players coming on, you're really just trying to manage the 30, 40 seconds, not get scored on and get off, or you're getting called off before that. Yeah, it's funny, but it's like I said, I mean, going back to my point, I just feel like the skill gap and the talent level between these elite players and the average players is greater than it's ever been.
Why do you think that is?
That's a great question.
I mean, and really, I'm not trying to, I agree with you. But why do you think that is? I look down the stats at the end of the year. During the end of the year, I lose track a little bit. When you look at the stats and you say you missed the last 10 or 15 games of the season because you're either on vacation or you're watching another sport or whatever, baseball season started. And then I look at the end and I say, wow, he had 127 points, or and then the next guy down on the team had 72 points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting. That was such a good question. That was one of the best questions I've done.
I was trying to. It was let's stump Drew Shore. That was
you might have stumped me. I think where I would go with this is the access to information and stuff now is greater than it's ever been. And what I mean by this is this: when I was a kid, if I wanted to watch a hockey game, I had one option. I had to watch it on the TV. There was no replay. It was you could kind of watch a game on TV. But now with YouTube and all of the social media and everything like this, these kids now have access to information and highlights and goals and everything so much younger. So they're able, and even on the training and fitness side, it's the ability to be great has never been more available. I guess that means. So where I'm going with this here is, so then once you combine these elite athletes, Austin Matthews is, people don't realize how big he is. If he scores 50 goals a year, he scores 15 or 20 rebound goals a year. And I mean,
so much for saying that, dude. Thank you so much for saying that.
People don't realize that I mean, I'm a pretty big guy. I'm like 6'2", like whatever, 210, 215 pounds.
Playing weight, or, now that you're retired?
It depends on the week, the time of year, weekend. But like, he's a monster. And so it's like, I think that like now, once these elite athletes have access to all this information at such an early age, it's just like with the way they're able to see the game. And now they're even hiring these skills coaches at such young ages that like, if you want to be great now, the tools are there. And if you combine that with like, obviously it comes with a lot of natural athleticism too.
It's a good take, and I think I agree with a lot of it. But then
what do you think?
You'd have to look at the flip side, right? And you'd say, okay, well, what about these third and fourth liners? Do they not have access to that, or do they not want it as bad? You know what I'm saying? That's the only real argument you can make. But here's what I think as well, because you said something very smart. The talent level.
The other argument that I would throw in there is you could say that there are more better athletes that are starting to play hockey than there were 20 years ago. I think that would be an argument that you could potentially make. I'm literally just thinking of this. I've never thought of this before.
Yeah, but I think it's good conversation though, man. It's good brainstorming.
Yeah, I think you could say that like maybe like if like every other kid was playing football, basketball, baseball, that like one of those kids now, every 5 or 7 kids is maybe getting into hockey now that it's growing. So we're actually starting to get more and more better athletes playing the game of hockey. I don't know.
That's what I personally think. That's truly what I think. I think that it's become, and it's awesome, isn't it? Like the exposure that it's getting, and there's more, even like you said, down in Carolina or out west. Like, I think the Western playoff games are night and day better than East Coast games. Like I was watching yesterday, who was it? The Caps. I forgot who I was watching yesterday, right? And then I tried to stay up and watch the Vegas game, and that was a little bit of a blowout, but just the intensity level. You know what I mean? Like the intensity level, everything's faster. They're hitting harder, dude. It feels like a different game.
It's funny. Actually, I was on a podcast this morning. We were just talking about that. I literally don't know if I could live on the East Coast because of how late sports come on. Like I'm Mountain Standard Time, and I wish I was West Coast time just because it's like then the stuff comes on at 4 p.m. But it's like, yeah, it's like some of those overtime games, like the Avs one the other day. I mean, that's 3 a.m. I know. It's funny. It's like now I have 2 young daughters, and it's like
there you go. So
I can go to bed at midnight with no alcohol now, and I feel hungover by the time the kids get up in the morning. It's like
the kids do something to you, man. They really do. Yeah, this is great. Let me get a couple of fun questions in with you, man. I know we didn't get much into the agent stuff, but maybe we'll have a part 2 down the road. A couple of fun questions I have. Travel destination. So you've been all over the place. You've seen all different parts of this beautiful world. What's your favorite place you've been, travel destination, or just that you've been traveling to for sports?
I would say Zurich, Switzerland. My oldest daughter was born there. I won a championship there. And during the Christmas time, they light up the whole downtown, and they have these crazy Christmas markets with food and shopping and the stuff called Glühwein, which is like spiced wine. And they just do an amazing job around Christmas with these Christmas markets. And it's like Zurich, Switzerland is one of the coolest places I've been, and got the pleasure of living there for 3 years, and it was amazing.
You're not the first person that said that. I'm not even kidding. You know what else I've seen? Switzerland, those trains they have are absolutely insane. Like, Roger Federer was talking about them or something, like those trains throughout the countryside. Have you done that stuff?
I have done a lot of that. And like the train system there is so amazing and efficient. It's wild. You can like literally get I could walk to the train station in Zurich and get like anywhere else in the country, or even to like Italy in like 2 hours. And it's like the easiest, it's like the easy, or Germany. Yeah. It's like the easiest process ever. The summers there are cool. Zurich has this huge lake. Yeah, Zurich's just an amazing place.
Are you a Denver guy now still?
Yeah, Denver.
Yeah, I love that area. I've only been out once, to be honest. Drew, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Probably like chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay. Now, is there a brand that fancies that up a little, like Moose Tracks or some kind of?
No, honestly, I have 3 women in my house now between my wife and daughters. I don't get much say in the type of ice cream or anything. It's just like whatever the kids are kind of eating or into is what we have around the house.
All right, last question I'll get you. What is your favorite celly? So we talked about the Michigan for a minute. My kids play travel hockey as well, and they're always coming up. My son now does the throw the glove up in the air and shoot it with the stick. What's your favorite celly? Or what did you do?
You know what? I like growing up, Patrick Kane was like one of the best Americans, was always one of my favorite players.
Dude, he grew up 10 minutes from me, man.
I know, he's Mr. Buffalo. So
Yeah.
I was always a fan of like the stuff he did. I mean, when he scored that goal and did like the heartbreaker celly, that was pretty cool. And then he just also has that celly where he kind of does like 4 or 5 like mini fist pumps and then the big one. And he was kind of like the coolest player that I looked up to when I was growing up. So I didn't score enough goals to do all his cellies, but try to take a couple of them when I could.
I love it, bro. This was a blast, man. A lot of fun. I thank you so much for joining the channel.